Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about 3 ways to effectively change habits or create habits in college. Okay guys, so the first step in the process to creating new habits is understanding where you are. Understand the state you're in. Understand your strengths, understand your weaknesses, and if you kind of reflect on your day-to-day life, you'll see that you lack in some areas where you could probably improve on, and that you're in you have strong areas where you don't need so much repetition in or improvement on. So the first step is to be very hyper aware of where you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are. And the second part to that is what is your vision? Where are you going in your college career? You want to start to cultivate habits that are linear with your career that you're pursuing ultimately. So, if your career is an athlete or if your career is a scientist, your habits may vary a little differently from profession. So, number 1, be hyper aware of what your strengths and what your weaknesses are. So, number 2, you want to start as small as possible. Have you ever started a New Year's resolution and you're like, I'm gonna lose weight, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and you have like a list of 10 things, and then you start, your new year off and you're trying to change too much at once. You become overwhelmed, you become stressed, and everything just falls apart and you end up not doing any of those things, right? Or if you want to start a diet, and let's say you're like, yep, this is it. I'm gonna jump in. I'm never eating sugar again, and this is it, right? And it's really hard to just cold turkey things. It has been done, and there is willpower and discipline that's involved, but there's a lot easier way and a more efficient way to do things, and it's through starting small. Okay, so the reason why you don't really go through with your habits or your diets, your workout routines, is because you try to change too much at once. You overwhelm your brain, and your brain stresses, and then it's like, nope, survival mode, efficient, right? What it's used to, which is maybe sleeping in, being lazy, eating sugar, eating the most efficient foods available. And so it's gonna look for the most efficient way possible. So the reason why you wanna start small is because you can focus all your energy on one thing. So for me, I started working out. I didn't change my diet. I still ate like complete shit, but I didn't change my diet. But I worked out. I worked out every day. And then after maybe like 2-3 weeks, I was like, whoa, I'm on a pretty good roll here. And then it was kind of like almost happened naturally, where I just started to evolve my diet, because I was like, look, if I want to see results, I've mastered working out every day. Now I'm going to start evolving my diet. So I went from working out, then to evolving my diet, and then to trying to be more productive and more efficient in my studying. And it all kind of snowballed, but I lasered in on one aspect at a time. And then once I lasered in on that, I was like, okay, the next thing. And then I lasered in on that, and then the next thing. And so that's kind of going into step number 3, but I want to stick with step number 2. So step number 2, the reason why you want to start small is that it's easy to start small, right? So let's say you want to start working out, and this is exactly what I did. If you want to start working out, or you want to start eating better, what I did was I literally just started showing up. I would say, okay, I'm supposed to work out today, but I really don't feel like it. I'm just going to show up to the gym. You show up to the gym. You maybe stay for 15 minutes. Even if you don't want to work out, show up for 5 minutes and then just leave. But show up. Because then you're creating a pattern of just showing up. And then you're going to be like, well, I'm showing up, why don't I just work out? And then you're going to work out, and it's going to go from half hour to an hour to maybe an hour and a half, or however long you need your workouts to be. But you started small. You started to just showing up. So if you want to study better, right? If you want to study better and you want better study habits, just show up at the library. Sit there. Stare at your book if you have to. Read your phone if you have to, but then leave if you need to. But start small. Just show up first. And after a while, you're just gonna be like, well, I'm here. I need to study, or I might as well study, or I might as well work out, right? And so you want to start as small as possible. Small as possible by just showing up. So step number 3, once you've kind of have a self-awareness of yourself, and then once you have an idea of where you're going to start small at, starting as small as possible. Number 3 is just repetition. Repeating, repeating, repeating. There's a saying in neuroscience where neurons that fire together, they wire together. You know, the more repetition and the more you create this habit and this pattern, the easier it's going to become, right? Think about the mental straining it took when you first started driving. Like, I remember being on the road and I remember being like, oh, like shaking and looking, and now I'm just, it's so natural to me, right? And the reason why is because it's been repeated so many times. You've done it so many times, it's become easy. And this is a process called automaticity. And that's what you have to create in your life. You want to create it. It has to be so easy to you now that it is now just an unconscious habit. Like, you just wake up and you don't even think, you just go. And that's where you want to get at. But that comes through repetition, 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 repetition. You know, the reason why you brush your teeth every morning without even thinking about it is because your parents probably taught you that at a young age, and you've done it for so many years that you just do it without thinking about it. And so that's where you want to get at. And the way to get there is to focus on one area of your life that you want to fix, or a habit that you want to create. Start small, and then once you start small, repeat, 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 and then, you know, grow. Obviously, you want to grow your habit to not just small anymore, but you want to incrementally grow it to maybe from showing up at the library to 2 minutes, to maybe 10 minutes, to 15 minutes, to 20 minutes, and you stay longer and longer and longer and longer. And then it becomes a habit where every time you pass by the school, you're like, oh, I'm gonna go to the library, you know, and it's a trigger. And so when it becomes unconscious, it's called automaticity. And that's where you want to get, and that's where habits become highly effective. But you have to create the good habits. Because if you don't create good habits and you put the bad habits in automaticity, you're on a downward spiral. And you have to break that pattern, and then you got to start building good patterns in an upward spiral. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And this was just kind of a small strategy that helped me in my life to incorporate better habits and also to break bad habits. Essentially, you just follow these 3 things, and you don't break a bad habit, you just build on top of it. And so use these 3 steps to create new habits or to break bad habits. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.